Hi guys, welcome back to the Crunchy Finger podcast. Today, actually, we don't have Jimmy. He's somewhere else, and we have gotten his twin brother, which is also called Jimmy, to join us and take his place. Jimmy, can you show yourself?
Yo, what's happening? Hi, everybody. We look a lot alike, but something is different. I don't know what it is. Yeah, that was silly. How you doing?
I'm sorry.
This is like a recreation of her original reaction to the first time she saw me without the beard. So it's fun that you guys got a almost carbon copy of what happened.
Yeah, this is not Jimmy's twin brother. Jimmy is Jimmy. I guess.
Yeah, it's me. How's it going?
Good. Interesting week.
Yeah, definitely. It was a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that I look super chubby, by the way. I think I gained a lot of weight under that beard. My jawline is disappearing.
Yeah, I guess the beard doesn't allow to see changes in the face so much.
Yeah. But I made some goals to lose some weight, which is cool.
Miguel is saying, who is the handsome boy?
Oh, thank you, Miguel. That's very sweet of you. But enough about my vanity. Let's talk about other stuff.
Yes.
So today we have a couple of few topics that we want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, every week we talk about these photographs that are from the past.
Yes.
Sometimes they're, not always from the past, but often we look at old photographers who may no longer be with us, who like kind of paved the way in the art of photography.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes they did stuff for the first time that had never been done. Sometimes they were inspired by somebody else's work. But it's often stuff that is not necessarily, contemporary.
Mm-hmm.
And we do plan on also featuring contemporary work. We're big fans of a lot of photographers who are working currently. We're just waiting on the possibility to maybe talk to them personally.
Mm-hmm.
We're not reaching out yet. We're trying to grow it, as I mentioned before, but it will come with time, hopefully. That's a goal of ours also, to talk to people and directly like hear it from their mouth, the inspiration behind photographs and so on. But the theme that I kind of want to discuss today is that, and we often get this question in the chat, we often ask ourselves, is that, do we like these photos because they're nostalgic? Do we like these photos because they're old? Would we care if somebody was taking the same photos today?
Mm-hmm.
And I think about this question often. Like, I wonder for myself, why do I like these photos? Like, why do I like the work of Cartier-Bresson? Why do I like the work of Rodchenko, for example, one of my favorites? Why? And I always seem to be convinced that I like it regardless of the time it was taken.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily care for nostalgia in that regard. I do like the fact that these photos are good and timeless regardless of the time they were taken in.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm not a big fan of usually is photos that are popular because that they show somebody who's popular.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like it's a cheap trick to kind of, make me care about the photo or something. It's cool if you can photograph somebody famous and take a good photo of them. Like an artist we were talking about privately a while ago, the GQ photo shoot with Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
We might cover that artist in a future episode. Hopefully, maybe we can get them on the podcast. I forgot the name.
I don't remember the name.
We're both so bad with names. But what I'm thinking is that these photos, for example, I don't care as much that Brad Pitt is in them. I mean, he's a handsome man, of course, and he knows how to like use his physical, his face and his body.
Yeah, to interpret something.
To interpret something, to be in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a skill for sure, that usually like you have good models, you have not so good models. And Brad Pitt, being a Hollywood actor and a handsome man, is a really good subject for these photos. But even other photos from that artist seem to kind of like intrigue me and make me like care about them.
Yeah, incite an interest on them.
Exactly.
For the solely thing that they're photographs.
But I wouldn't feel the same way about any headshot of, let's say, Brad Pitt, for example. Yeah, I will acknowledge that there's a handsome man in the photo, but I won't necessarily think it's a good photo per se.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an argument about a photographer who was famous in the 70s for taking these photos of musicians and stuff like that. I'm not going to mention who. That I'm not a really big fan of, and I don't think the photos to be great per se. It's just that the people in them are great. What we're going to talk about today is something along these lines.
Mm-hmm.
It has a historical significance, but at the same time, I'm gonna like upfront say that I'm not a big fan of any of these photos, not because of the topic, because of the artistic value of these photos as frames, like as compositions, as
Images.
as images. The way that I like to enjoy my photography has nothing to do with these compositions. And at the same time, maybe like this is a good time to give you a warning. Let's say, if you, we try to kind of, especially with one of the artists that we're featuring today, their work is there's a lot of nudity. There's a lot of like sensitive material. Most of the audience here is mature.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have some of audience that are younger, and we didn't feature all of the work.
No, we have filtered out a lot
We
of the
filtered
stuff,
out, but we're still talking about sensitive subjects like, abuse, drug abuse, addiction, and a lot of sensitive stuff.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to, listen and hear that, this is your time to leave. And if you're homophobic or transphobic, this is also your time to leave and probably don't come back. But with that out of the way, let's jump in. We didn't get any question, did we? I didn't check.
No, not till the last moment I checked.
All right. So we didn't get any questions as we usually do in the Instagram post that we leave. But if you have any questions, as always, you can leave them in the chat, and maybe towards the end of the episode, we can talk about them. The first thing that we're going to talk about, let me switch to this. You want to tell us about this first one?
Yeah, actually, it also, we're talking about the street photography.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one also kind of goes into the topic of what we're saying. Is the photograph good because it's an artistic and a well-composed photograph and for the art of it? Or is it because it signifies something else than just the art of photography? And I think this little project and this quirk here, it falls also in that category. Because this week I was browsing the interwebs like I do constantly, mostly. And I found these photographs taken by a young person in Norway in the late 19th century that was taking photos with a spy camera. So this is one of the first examples of taking photos of people when they didn't know they were being photographed. And a somewhat kind of reminds me and evokes a lot of the feelings that the street photography all over the 20th century had, which is this spontaneity and just getting to see how the people were living their lives and going about in the streets. And I read in this article that we're living that it was like he was very interested in a particular girl, but he was very shy and he didn't have the courage to go and talk to her, and he envisioned, how can I go and maybe take a photo of her without her knowing, which is a little bit creepy, but it can kind of come out to create this hidden camera and taking these secret street photographs that we're seeing right now, which I think they're very fun to look at actually. And I don't know, it's a bit strange to me to think, like, putting myself back in time and how these people actually were like dressed like this and going and walking the streets like this, and it's just like really cool to look at. And
the aspect ratio, the circle basically
Yeah.
of the I think that kind of adds something. I'm usually not a big fan of circles or ovals, and they do look super nostalgic. Like, remember these, the
oval ones,
oval frames that you find,
the maskings that they used to do in the
You find them in like secondhand stores. These like random like photos of people that you don't know who they are, and I usually like them. I like the frames. I like to look at the frames, but I don't know. Like, I never considered that in terms of like my work, in order like to use a circle or an oval. But it's actually a fun idea to experiment with. This one like He kind of nailed the angle. I'm not sure how he.
Yeah, and I also think, like, I mean, these photos, technically speaking, they pose a challenge, which is how do you take a photo quick enough
Mhm.
to do it like that? Because back in the days, you have like not lenses that were very wide, which means that you had to
You
expose
mean
longer.
fast?
Yeah, fast. Yeah, like you had to do it quick because otherwise, the moment is gone. It's
Yeah.
so.
Did they mention anything about the camera he was using in these?
I do not remember reading anything in particular about it. They just call it a spy camera,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah, because these are definitely fast exposures. There's a lot of moving.
freezing the movement a
Mhm.
lot. So yeah.
Some of them are a bit blurry, but I mean, still, it's in 1/25 of a second or something like that.
Yeah, so he actually took these kind of photographs all over the course of his studies. So
Mhm.
he's like undergrad in the university. So he took more than 500 photographs.
Look here, you can see a whole horse carriage
Yeah, I
that
know,
is
it's
on the
cool.
road, and the wheels are pretty sharp, kind
Yeah.
of, like there's no motion blur or heavy motion blur.
Stormer was his name, and
Mhm.
he was actually a successful mathematician and physicist, and he did always share his love for photography, working on the side on things related to aurora borealis, to the
Mhm.
northern lights, photographing the northern lights, and yeah, it's something that he never really left, and it was always with him through his life, even though he was a scientist and a mathematician physicist.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was 19 when he took these photos between 1893 and 1897.
Yeah. Really, really cool photos. And these, for example, is a good example, as we were talking earlier, is that these are cool for the fact that they were taking, how they were taken, and the time they were taken in. So I don't know what, like, if I can get anything to learn about this, to incorporate in my work and stuff like that. But it's really cool to know about and learn about it.
Yeah, and that I mean, when I think I actually saw this being half asleep in the bed or something when I woke up or when I was about to sleep, and then I didn't even read the title. I think I just saw that photo and I clicked, and then I was looking. I'm like, oh, this is like street photography done in New York in the 70s, and then I keep reading. I'm like, oh, this is Norway. This is the 19th century. This is so cool. I sent it to you. It's like it's really cool.
Yeah, I can't remember how it happened. I was still more awake. Yeah. So the next photographer we're gonna talk about.
Actually, this is funny because I was also thinking, like, how did he hide a camera? Like they probably weren't that small. And then Miguel is saying, "Don't look at my enormous suitcase with a weird hole in the front, please."
Yeah, I mean, it was probably something like some kind of a suitcase to hide that.
I have to be something like that. Something that is a box camera.
Are you
probably.
sure they didn't mention anything about the description of this?
I'm reading again, skimming through again. Nothing really.
We should have digged
Dig a
more.
little bit more.
Maybe we can keep digging and find more next week, or if somebody finds it, they can tell us about it. But it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you want to jump to the next photographer we're gonna talk about today?
Mm-hmm.
What are we gonna look at? Diane Arbus next.
Diane Arbus, yeah, I think we can start with the first one.
All right.
Older in time.
So what are you gonna tell us?
What am I gonna tell you about Diane Arbus? Well, actually, I think it was my idea to start talking about this topic and then deciding are we going to talk about Diane Arbus or not. It's a controversial photographer, so to speak, and her work has incited a lot of praise but also a lot of criticism. And I just pose the question that regardless of what people think about the photographs being good or not being good, her photography and the way that she approached photography and what she was trying to do, people think, because she passed away quite young.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really know what it is that she was thinking when she was taking these photographs, but they are something that is important when we're talking about the history of photography and famous or recognized or important photographers as well.
Yeah.
So I was like asking you, like, do you think we should talk about it? There's a lot of photographs we cannot show because there's a lot of nudity, but I think the topic is interesting. And then we just develop a little bit more the idea that, yeah, maybe we should give it space and talk about it as well. And then you brought up the concept of the name of this other photographer that we're gonna talk about today, because it's also similar topic, similar a little bit later in time. Contrasting work, because Diane worked a lot in black and white, mostly black and white photography, whereas the other photographer we're gonna talk about is mostly color work. So I think together they made a nice, it's gonna be a nice episode talking about what is the value of photography in itself when it's beyond the artistic part of it, I would say. Even though a lot of people did consider her work artistic in a sense, and that it changed perhaps the idea of the artistic photography in and of itself. Diane Arbus was a photographer that did her work mostly between 50s, 60s, 70s. She passed away in 71, I believe. And I'll put it out of the way, trigger warning, she committed suicide. She was a person that was, through her life, deeply disturbed. She had the episodes of depression, and then it ended up in the way it ended up. And I think the fact that she was this complicated mind also it represents what she did with photography and the people that she photographed. She is known for being one of the first photographers to portray the outcasts of society, so to speak, or the freaks as they used to call them. So it would be people that didn't really fall into the social norms as they were seen back in those decades. And she just spent a lot of time trying to get to know those people and photographing those people. You're showing right now one of her most known photographs, one of them. And a lot of people that might have never seen Diane Arbus's work might see this photo and even get some sense that they recognize this and they've seen this somewhere. And this is because this photograph is the one that inspired one of the most popular Stanley Kubrick The Shining scenes.
Exactly.
So if you know, like, I've seen this somewhere, but I don't know so much where.
Is the reference of the reference. I'm just going to close the curtain, sorry to
Sure.
interrupt, because I can see the sun is beaming straight into the lens.
Oh, I see it, yeah. That's good, yeah, because there's a lot of flare, right?
Yeah.
Better?
Yeah. And you were heavily overexposed. I had to change the settings on your camera too. Sorry.
Yeah,
this is a really cool photo in the sense that it's a lot of people know about the movie.
The Shining, yeah.
And I've seen like people reenact or not reenact, but like reference the movie. Like I don't remember. I think we were watching it together. We saw something recently that it was. It had Always Sunny in Philadelphia. When somebody sleeps over at Charlie's house and then they wake up in the middle of the night to walk outside.
Oh yeah, it was very scary.
And they see all kinds of freaky stuff happening in the hallway. And there was also
two with twins. Yeah. So it all stems from this photograph. I think that's the first example of it.
And there was a comment by the parents of the girls also on this photo.
So I was trying to read a little bit more about, not only what the critics say, but also there was some instances of comments of from the people that she photographed or relatives. And there was a comment by the father of these two girls that they were deeply surprised by the way that Diane decided to photograph the girls and give them this, like, they call it ghostly look, because the father says that this is not the way that they look at all in other photographs that they have, family photographs, I assume, or like representing how the kids are. And that's the thing, like, when I look at this photo, I get a creepy vibe. I cannot deny it. Do I get the creepy vibe because of the relationship of these twins in a horror movie like The Shining? Or what does this photo, why is this photo disturbing in a sense? It's just two girls that are dressed the same and they're looking straight on the camera. There's nothing else than that. Where does it come, that feeling of uneasiness? And even the parents say it, like they were represented in this ghostly way. And where does that come from? Is it the choice of clothing? Is it
to be honest with you, I never found these creepy.
Okay.
I never found. I mean, with the movie, like the behavior, like it can be like, okay, what's happening? The music can have an element of like creepiness, like you can have a normal scene and then add these like violins, and then anything can feel creepy or whatever. But I never found this to be creepy. I don't know. Did I tell you about a friend of mine who wanted to work on a video clip? And I told you when I accidentally cleared my memory card and deleted everything,
Yeah,
and
from the
I took some photos in Denmark.
on your hard drive.
Yeah, I got a new hard
wiped it.
drive and I emptied my 120 gig memory stick into a hard drive that I forgot I did that. And because it was new, I usually format it as soon as I get it. And after I moved the stuff, I delete everything. But anyway, I was working with this artist who was a friend of mine. And she wanted to do a video clip, a music video clip. She had two super cute nieces. Like I went there to film and I met them. We had lunch. And, it's just to get friendly. So when we like do filming, it's like, who's this stranger telling us to stand there and do that? And they were super cute, like there is no way I could have, like, we were filming in the building. The building had like a long hallway, and when you go to the laundry room, and so they got their like small bikes, and she was standing in the front, and they were biking around in the background. But they were so silly. I was laughing the whole time. I couldn't like be scared or feeling eerie by anything they were doing. And I don't know. It's all in the head. I think they look, like a cute little twin. I don't know.
I do think that for me the feeling of that, it comes because I saw first The Shining and the movie, because there's huge representation in popular culture of that scene and Stanley Kubrick work. And it's related to The Shining, which is a horror movie. I've seen it. So I think this is where. So it's not that I find per se this photo creepy or not. It's that I get the feeling that I get when I watch the movie as well.
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah.
And the evil twins that they're like just scary. I don't know why.
Yeah. But I mean, I can see. I get, as I said, like in the movie, it's a different context. It's a different feeling. It's a different vibe. Like how you feel coming into the scene also affect how you feel about the scene itself. But but I mean, it's an iconic photo in that sense because it was, reused in Kubrick's movie. It was like, like it has a cultural value to it for that sense. But again, in itself, it's just a normal photo. Like this could be like someone's birthday and, hey, twins, oh, you look nice in these dresses. Come stand here and take a photo,
I mean, the majority of her work was dead straight on square pictures of people in the center. That's like the majority of the work.
From what I've seen before, like if you say her name, I usually think of this photo. And this is the reason, like when you were telling me about maybe we should cover this topic today, this photo also reminded me of the work by Nan. And this is how I want to relate all these three topics together. Is a lot of times the value of a photograph is about where you are, how you position yourself, and not just in regard to the scene, but also in regards to the story. A lot of stories people don't want to think about, people don't want to talk about, and hence there is no photographs or record of.
Yeah, it's hidden, and it's hidden from all forms, either talking about it, making it part of society, and representing it as well, which I think is what happened for a really long time.
So I do see the significance of these photographs in terms of highlighting the people who are in them, the stories that are in them. I just wish that they were better photographs. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
But as you're saying, like they do hold a huge social value in and of itself. She actually took the time, apparently, to get to know these people. So it wasn't before all the photographs that were associated with these outcasts or these people that weren't, accepted by the society. They were always sideways photography. It's like kind of like you are trying to take a photo of them with them, knowing you're taking photos of them, because it is not okay to stare, not okay to look at them, not okay to give them space in that regard. And then she turned it around and it's like, no, I want to get to know these people. I want to get to know who they are, why are they the way they are. how do they see themselves. I assume that she was also interested in that, and then photograph them. And for many of her subjects, she actually photographed them throughout their lives. So it wasn't just a one-off encounter. She took the time, and then she took photos, and then she met them years down the line and take a photo again. So it was more like a personal relationship and kind of part of her life, that she being an outsider and coming in and just taking photos.
It's documentary work.
It's documentary work in a sense as well. And I before, like a lot of the people that were writing and talking about her photography, it's that in a sense, these are photos of things that we are all interested about for one way or another. It's attractive because it's things that we don't see every day, and we are told that it's not okay to be interested in these kind of things. So I found very interesting that a lot of people were posting that when you look at the photograph of Diane Arbus, you establish a relationship between the photograph and yourself as well, and you are able to maybe deepen your thoughts about how it is that you feel about these kind of people, or people that are just different from you. And that a lot of her photography is cathartic, and it forgives the viewer for having preconceptions and ideas about these people, and maybe when they're posed to having their work in front of them, their ideas might change. This is what some of the critics were talking about, what the value of that photography as well.
I definitely see the value of these photographs in bringing these topics and these stories and these people to the public eye, basically, to kind of force you to have as you said, like a personal kind of evaluation of the thing. And I think, look, you can live your life however you want, but just shunning people is not cool, like that's not something that people should be proud in doing or should be doing at all. But also that's my opinion.
Yeah.
But I feel like that opinion is an inclusive opinion. I don't necessarily have to like you as a person, but just categorizing you and shunning you for whatever aspect of who you are,
or I think you are, because that's the other thing. You don't know how they think they are.
And I don't like the fact that photography was, let's say, kind of, or portraiture was reserved for the beautiful people, or for the famous people, or for the rich people. Like, of course there is a value in accomplishment. If you did something good and we want to keep a record of it, we take a photo of what you did and who you are, because we celebrate good deeds and doing like great achievements and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's a lot of it that is just meaningless. Like, I don't care necessarily about 12,000 photos of whatever famous singers, That's
those photos, that's the thing, like
but here's what I want to say. I feel like I wish they kind of, it just hurts me that the photos are not more powerful in a way.
Visually speaking,
where more thought out, more technical abilities, in the sense that you can't escape being engaged by the photo and then caring about analyzing the subject and thinking, having opinion and having acceptance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean. But like, for example, you just showed the one about the giant, there is this side that a lot of people were saying that maybe she was just a voyeur, she just liked to look, and then she wanted to take the photos. And then there's other people that are saying that no, because she actually got the consent of all these people to actually be portrayed and be shown basically around.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily care about that criticism personally, because I feel like documentary work is all basically, like, if you're doing something, a good documentary, you don't have anything to do with it. You're just there. Outside. We're all peepers at what's going on in this thing. We're all peeping at what's going on, because if we interfere, then it's not the same, like, for example, nature photographers and nature filmmakers, when they go to nature reserves and stuff like that, they're not supposed to interfere. When you see a tiger eating a deer, you don't save the deer. No. You don't interfere with the story. You just peep, basically. You just point your camera at it and let it happen. So I do kind of like I like that in a sense. And photojournalism, basically, a good photojournalism is based on the photographer not interfering with the scene.
Yeah, and I totally agree that that's how it should be. I feel a bit confronted because, you know, she got a lot of criticism because the subjects that she was photographing in this way were of like obscure matters, you know, things that people should not be interested about. And then she gets categorized as like, oh, maybe she was a voyeur, maybe she get excited about these areas. Whereas if you have a war photographer that works photographs wars, you never say, oh, this person, you know, likes to see suffering or violence, and that's why they're photographing it. So I don't like that they just like do that criticism only because of the type of subject that she was photographing.
Yeah, obviously, I think I dismissed it because I analyze that like without even thinking about it, is that these people just they want to dismiss this because whatever reason, you know, like this is not a valid argument. So I see your point. Maybe they were against the topic,
and then
they kind of like skewed their argument.
Like why would someone want to be photographing these people if it's not because they get a personal satisfaction out of it? And that's just wrong, you know. She was just interested in getting to know these people and give them a voice.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know her motives,
really know,
you know, but it's just like knowing about her life story. I don't think that she was coy to that, you know. And I mean, there was, I remember a few years back, I don't remember who brought it up, but I'm sure it was brought up many times. I just saw it one place. Somebody kind of like discussing the ethics of taking photos of homeless people, of beggars on the street, people who are unfortunate with their life. And, you know, usually these are, again, sensitive subjects and sensitive topics, you know. And if you take a photo of a person who's suffering and you get the fame, you get the praise for the powerful photo, what does that make you? You know? And I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. I don't necessarily feel... I don't immediately go in that cynical way, but I think it depends on how you are presenting it as well. Like we know that Diane was basically a struggling photographer.
Yeah.
She didn't really get any fame or monetary compensation for that work she was doing. I think this one, the photo that we're looking at, is pretty cool. It's one of my favorites. It's just because it's... in terms of composition, in terms of a photo, what a photo is, this kind of fits in a way because it's like what is it? It's a dance party, or like the king and queen of a senior citizen dance in New York in 1970. And I feel like, this is a fun photo, you know, it's a party photo, and it's a thing that, you know, like how often do you attend the senior citizen? That's what a dance party. But I think it's pretty cool. It's light, you know. It's nice. I don't think you can do a better photo of this to kind of like. I feel like the style of photography fits the vibe in this particular instant. And the one of the cross-dresser that was, I said that
with the curls.
With the curls in their hair, and because that also feels like intimate. You know, it feels like they're preparing to go out or maybe do a show, or I don't know what they do with their life in that particular night, but you know, it seemed like I was there in the room before, you know, as they prepared for that for that dress. And I also think it's pretty cool in that sense, you know. And that's a lot of Nan Goldin's work.
I was thinking
very personal, because she was photographing her friends.
Exactly. She was basically doing an imaginary document journalism of her life, and then she decided to not to make it public, basically. As you were saying, Diane was kind of struggling to really make a living out of her photography. Just a little bit of background about her and her husband. Earlier in the in the 50s, they started a commercial photography studio where they were working with commission work by Glamour magazine and Vogue magazine, and they did quite a lot of work with models and for, you know, more the fashion world. They weren't really considered that good, artistically speaking, or like fashion photography wise, and she was not really happy with the work that they were doing in the area where they could be making more money about photography. So she decided to stop that partnership little after she divorced from the husband, and then she put a lot of more time into learning about photography, I read, and just really focusing on her own personal work and the things that interested her. She made tons of lists of type of people she wanted to meet and type of people she wanted to portrait. She started numbering her negatives as well, and the last one, it was about 7,900 something, so she numbered and worked with about almost 8,000 negatives through her life. And I just think it's an interesting story to understand also, like, why her photographs were even they were recognized and people knew about her work, and she had been exhibited a bit, and still her photos were monetarily value very little. Like, I think she sold prints for less than $100 a print. She had a project of making this custom-made box of photographs, which
this
is the one that
we
we're
already looked at,
which is a portfolio of her work in the 60s, I think. And she couldn't really make more money out of even the Metropolitan Museum wanted to buy 3 photos from her at $75 each, which is not a lot of money for a print. And in the end, they ended up buying 2 because they didn't have more budget for buying that kind of photographs, which she kind of say like, oh, we're all poor basically here, but the museums that will show the photos and me, it's just like, it's not that bad to be poor. It's like everyday business in this area. But now her photographs and the box, like this same box of photographs that she thought about making 50 copies, but she ended up making only a few and selling only a few. After her death, they went back to make these 50 copies that she intended to do, and the last copy that got sold for $800,000. So what has changed? What has changed of her work now and her work then?
Well, there's a few different things, and by the way, for reference, this is the prints that Eva was talking about. This is it, a box of 10 photographs. This is the collection that she sold a few of, and then they remade them and sold them for. Well, what has changed is a few things, I feel like, in my opinion. First of all, I think this is a common thing with the art, what do you call it? Like people selling and buying art.
The collectors?
Yeah, like, what do you call that? Industry, I don't know. But I think you know what I mean.
Curators and
yeah. Stuff gain value for not necessarily good reasons, or like reasons that make sense. You know, like these are people that are doing business, and these are people that kind of like know how to make you care about a specific artist or a specific photograph. You know, it doesn't always correlate with the artist's view of a. I think no two people can agree about everything. But what I'm trying to say is that when you're talking about how much art is being sold for, that's
it's
an arbitrary
thing
to kind of try to understand. There is no way. You know, somebody becomes popular, and then their work becomes very valuable.
But
somebody becomes like rarefied. You know, like okay, there's only one of these things.
One of a kind, yeah.
And then we like, why did the print? You know, the clouds behind the moon one get sold for how much it got sold.
I don't remind me that.
I don't even know.
I get upset. No,
but the other thing that we can talk about, why is because you asked 2 questions. Why is this being sold for this much? Nobody knows. I mean, as I said, it's a game. But I think why is it being? Why are we talking about it? For example, why do we know about Diane Arbus? I mean, there was a lot of photographers who maybe didn't make it in the traditional way and try to do different things, and and we're not talking about them, and we didn't like their story never made it to us or other people to talk about them. But why? Well, I feel like it's because society has changed.
Yeah, I was about to bring up that point.
Yeah.
It's like, is it because we have changed the way we look at the photographs that she took? Are we
Yeah.
more accepting of the kind of work that she did now than we were then? And are we less afraid or less ashamed to give it value, the value that it should have?
I believe so. I believe and I think when you say we, you mean the whole society.
Yeah.
And I think that's to be true. I mean, nowadays, like being non-accepting of people because they have a certain illness or a certain way of living or certain choices that they take in life, their sexuality and all that stuff. If you are against those things, it's an unpopular opinion,
Mm-hmm.
which is because now it makes sense that why do you care? Who do you think you are? What gives you the right to decide how other people live their life?
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, maybe the people didn't really think or consider these things. We all know the history of, homosexuality. It's until this day, people suffer from these issues. Racism,
And depending where in
and
the world, of course.
like not even people with birth defects. I
Yeah.
mean, if you go back long enough in history, women also were, like were burned because they were witches and all that kind of crazy stuff that happened back in history. So yeah, of course, this work is more appreciated now and than it used to be because we appreciate these values. We don't look at these people like they are freaks or anything. No, they're just somebody else
Mm-hmm.
that's their life and that's their story and it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a big reason of, what gives it value and why is it a big important
Work that she did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
work. It has big importance as work that has been done in the time that it was done in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So, and again, brings it back. Somebody, Al-Walid Al-Khaja, I think that's how you say the name. Well, we're happy that you're joining us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Asking a question about how these compare. I don't know if you start watching when we started, but that's what I think I mentioned at the beginning of the episode is that usually when we talk about previous photographers or like old photographers that are not contemporary classic photographers, let's say, we love their work, and it's often the question is that work valuable because it was done at the time it is being done. In my opinion, usually no, not necessarily, depend unless it was like an amazing technical feat that nobody thought of before. Last week's episode we talked about Anna Atkins, who did the first zine, let's call it. And that was cool because it's never been done before.
Mm-hmm.
And cyanotypes are cool. And they were good compositions as well. Like she was creative. She did really cool stuff with the plans to create the font.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If somebody's doing that today, I will still think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I will still think it's really interesting, really creative, even though it's been done before. They look good. Here today, I feel I have a struggle in the sense that I really like the topic. I really like what she was doing. I really like that she went out and did it. But at the same time, like I don't feel so amazed by the photographs themselves as composition and stuff like that. And but at the same time, it's not because of any technical feat.
Mm-hmm.
It is fascinating that it's being done. It's because it defied society at the time.
Yeah.
And that I feel like I don't want to compare the two, but it's, like I'm not going to say it's as important or more important. Is really important. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. I mean, I think what they were asking here is like, do you think these images were made present today? Would they be regarded as the same? And I think if a photographer will focus on the same specific topic in the same kind of subjects today, it would be diluted and the value wouldn't be as strong as having been taken in the 60s and what she did in the 60s. But I think this kind of photography or this kind of idea about photography can still be applied today because we are by far from having a society without secrets, without marginalization, without problems in society. So as a photographer, you can focus and document all these problems that are either in some parts of the world that are not in another part of the world. There is a room for awareness and there is a room for social studies through photography every day.
Absolutely.
It's not something that is just lost because it's been already done, or now we're more accepted of homosexuals and transsexuals. No, we're still not there. There's still a lot of parts that can be photographed, that can be documented, that can be journalized in the way that these people did it back in the 60s. So I think maybe the subjects have changed, but the value in the photography still stays.
Yeah. I mean, we're never gonna, like, I don't think a utopia is possible. Something bad is happening right now somewhere, unfortunately. And, you know, if
and people struggling.
People
you know,
are struggling. But the thing is, like, if a photographer can bring to the spotlight something terrible that is happening, that nobody's thinking about, nobody's caring about, and change the worldview on that. Now it will be as important and possibly more important because, you know, like now we are aware of the struggle of the subject of Diane Arbus photos, and the public, I feel like, at least this is my feeling, the public agrees that this is shunning those people is wrong and not accepting is wrong. And if there is something that is happening now that is bad and nobody is aware of, and even if you take, as again, like photos that are not fascinating, but you highlight the subject. I mean, if your photos are stronger and your photos are better compositionally speaking, great, that's a plus. But if as a photographer and mostly as a journalist, because photography has its hands in many different ways and many different things. You know, photography is directly related to art. It's art, but it's also directly related to journalism. It's also directly related to business. So now if you want to, but if you want to start a business, let's say, you know, product photography is a category of itself, and you want to take photos just to show your products and make money off of it, you know. So I think ethically speaking, that's where the blurry line is that if you're doing something documentary, if you're doing something a journalistic type of work, you expect to be kind of like maybe compensated somehow, at least if you're working for a magazine or for a TV station. But at the same time, you know, if you're positioning yourself in maybe dangerous situations, like let's say you want to cover some drug cartel that is happening somewhere, you know, you're not going to be the safest person at that moment, you know, especially you're walking around with a camera, a lot of tense people with guns, you know. That's not just you're not just, you know, if you are being compensated for that work, yes, it's because, you know, like somebody who works in a mine, they put themselves in a, you know, I mean, especially for a magazine, people are gonna pay for this magazine to see that news, to blah blah blah. So where was I going with this? I don't know, but I think you guys get the idea of what I'm trying to say. Is that absolutely you have to consider this as is it documentary, journalistic type of work? Is it photographic art?
Fine art?
Is it like fine art? Is it product photography? I don't know. And I think all the disclaimers that I gave in the beginning of the episode today is because usually we focus on fine art, on photographic art, or on technical ability. We had a photographer that we wanted to talk about today. Then we decided to shift it to next week.
Yes.
Who managed to kind of blend the two for a specific project that we want to talk about. I'm not gonna spoil it, so
no.
You gotta
join
tune
us
in.
next week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these photographs, I feel like the only value that they hold to me is that they brought these taboo topics that nobody wants to talk about to the public eye. They normalize them, and in the sense that this is this is acceptable. This is not something.
Yeah, they gave them the same space and the same importance as any other person that was gonna be portrayed in a photograph, basically. And that has its value. That has its value, and it's a very important value.
Yeah.
Any more photos wanna show from Diane?
Well, I'm shuffling through the galleries.
Yeah, we left a link to a page that has several galleries of her work, and this is actually separated in galleries that have been shown around.
Yeah, actually, I didn't put the links yet.
Oh, okay.
But we will probably put them after we finish the stream, because I wasn't sure on which ones to share and which maybe we can discuss it later. Because we had to go through many different galleries and web pages. This one, the one that we're looking at, I don't know how to say
Frankel?
it. Yeah, but it's this word
Frankel.
Gallery.com. And you can see all of these photos. Do you wanna switch to Nan Goldin?
Yeah, I think we can move to Nan Goldin, which is on the same, very similar topic.
Yeah. Nan worked. I feel like they kind of existed at the same time.
Overlapped a little
They
bit.
overlapped a little bit, but Nan is still alive. She's still with us. Yeah, she was born in what was it? 57? 53. And she started, like, she picked up her first camera when she was 15.
Yeah, super early on.
She had really terrible situations in her life.
Yeah.
You usually, that's your specialty. I have really bad memory when it comes to details.
Yeah, no,
about
she had a troubled household.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister committed suicide when she was 11. It was something that really deeply affected her, as it's normal. She decided to leave home very early when she was 14, I believe. Yeah, she left home. She went to live in a community with some students, like she was studying, and then one of her colleagues there introduced her to camera and photography, and she found soothing into portraying the life around her and her friends, and that's how she started. And that's the main body of work that she's done throughout the years, 40 years of photographing, basically the scenes where she lives, where she enjoys her time and her friends. And she's been very early on fascinated by also the underground scenes of the big cities in the US. She was born in Boston, then she moved into New York. Mm-hmm. And she was fascinated by the drag queen scene in the cities. That was kind of her first fixation, was this. She was very intrigued by these people, and she got to know them. She made friends and was deeply embedded in that pop culture part. And as we were saying, her photographs are rather a personal journal made in forms of photographs. So here we go into the almighty topic of, like, what is a snapshot, what is not a snapshot, what is the value of a snapshot, rather than a very thought through photograph, composed and really constructed in a sense, rather than you are around a specific situation and you take photos of what's around you. And this is what Nan did mostly. So when you look at her photos, a lot of them are going to give a lot of our viewers and the people that are looking at them the sense of, like, this is a snapshot.
I don't know if you just mentioned as you were talking, they were usually, did you say that they were usually, I mean, still until today, when you go to a gallery,
yeah.
They are displayed as a slideshow.
Yeah,
because I feel like that's a very, like, a good idea in terms of
how to present this work.
Yeah, because these do feel like, you know, like a slideshow for those people like who, I mean, I've maybe seen it once or twice at my aunt's house, who's in the chat. Hello. And they had a slide machine, the one that switches the slides.
I mean, a slideshow is basically that one photo comes after the other. You can do it electronically, or you can do it with the slides.
Yeah, but I mean, like, usually, like back in the day, usually if you go on a trip somewhere,
then you come back
vacation, and you take slide film, you take a bunch of photos, and then that's how you, like, you know, because there are special photos, you know, you want to look at, you know, like, look at the memories that you created. It's like nowadays you go somewhere, you get to Greece and you make a vlog, and then you edit it together,
have a YouTube video, and then
you put it on TV when you know your cousins show up, or I don't know who you share your life with.
In a dinner party, yeah.
Yeah, but I want to comment about the snapshot topic.
Yeah, I know.
Because this is outrageous to me. Like, this is something that makes me furious.
That's why I wanted to bring it up.
When I like got more interested, more serious about photography, street photography was my main thing.
It still is. You like it a lot.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. But I mean, I kind of changed I'm trying to explore different things. Let's not talk too much about that. But it was everything I thought about. It was everything. I would go out every day, wherever I am, and just walk and take photos in the street. And it was the people that I looked up to, like people like Cartier-Bresson and so on. They kind of like blew my mind, and in the fact that how were they able to take this snapshot that looks so awesome.
Yeah.
That looks so good, that I'm sitting here 40, 50, 70, I don't know how many years later, looking at it in awe, you know, like they, they were ready.
Yeah.
They were ready. They knew exactly how to.
When to?
Something happens and boom, and the photo looks nice.
Mhm.
Do you have good composition? So for me, it was daily practice. Just like you go to the gym or you practice football or handball, whatever your sport is, you have to put in the hours. You have to put in the work, and you have to go out every day and take photos. If street photography is your thing, go out every day and take photos. Take your
Yes.
camera with you every day.
Because you are building up your skill of knowing exactly when
Exactly.
to take the photo.
And how to technically be able to, not just like, I mean, if you want to use P mode, fine, but my advice is use manual and just learn how to, before you set the shot, you're always reading the light in your head, you're always adjusting, you're always going for a certain look. Maybe today you want to take contrasty photos, maybe today you want to take high dynamic range photos, what settings to use and all that stuff. That, to me, when you take a snapshot, let's call it, knowing all that stuff, it doesn't devalue the snapshot, but
No,
on the contrary, it makes it much more impressive
I agree with
than
that.
if you had to, let's say, I mean, look, the dedication it takes to take a great landscape photo, to the extent that photographers, like a current photographer and a YouTuber, one of our favorites, Nick Carver, he plans, I mean, I don't know if you've seen his latest video, but he worked on that video for like 9 months or something like that, maybe 6 months.
On making those photographs, yeah.
Or making 2 photographs.
2 photographs, yeah.
2 photographs, 9 months work. So I don't have that like, I don't know what the word for it.
Willpower?
Not willpower, the like, like it's just so like that, when willpower in terms of time, in terms of waiting.
Yeah.
I'm not that patient.
Patient, yeah.
Like I'm not gonna show up to the same place and check until the sky is perfect.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. That's a different kind of dedication.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they both need you to show up. They both need you to work every day, to check the weather every day. For example, if you're hitting that perfect landscape shot, but at the same time, you show up, you set up your camera, and you wait. So in a sense, or if you're designing the scene, like David LaChapelle, for example, you show up and you design the scene and you take a photo and it doesn't work, and you can try it again. You can change things. When it comes to street photography or documentary work or journalistic work, you don't have any of these luxuries.
Yeah.
There is no do-overs. You either get it or you don't get it. And that to me is the value. To me is the amount of hours that you put in up to that moment is the technical abilities that it shows in a photograph like this. There was a Spanish photographer, I forgot their name. We looked at their work earlier. It was so good, it was almost depressing to me. The guy who lines up lines perfectly. Do you remember the name?
Is it contemporary?
Yeah. He does the workshops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We can't remember the name, but
we wanted to talk to him and hopefully have him. Yeah.
Amazing work. And if you look, if you look at these photos and you tell me these are snapshots and they don't mean anything, I'm gonna get aggressive. I'm gonna freak out.
I mean, some of his photos are so good that I doubt that they're real.
Yeah.
They are so good that you're saying like, how is this not planned and constructed? Like not saying Photoshop and saying that you try to put the things where
even
they are.
Photoshopped. Some of them, like, did he add these cups? Did he add this pigeon?
No, but his work is just being hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and finding these instant moments that are lost in time if you don't capture them, because they exist, they are there. It's just like you don't see them.
Yeah, and to me, that's like, if I'm a basketball player, for example, that's Michael Jordan. That's like the ultimate. I don't know, like I don't care if he's working now or he worked in the past. I've never seen like very well timed photos as that guy was doing. It was, as I said, I usually get inspired when I see somebody better than me. That guy was so good, I got depressed. You know what I mean? But back to this, I mean, again, documentary work. You're just there snapping photos. And who was the photographer we were talking about earlier? I was talking to some of the people in Discord, and I always, for some reason, I confused them with. I'm so bad with names.
Which one?
I confused them with somebody else, but he's the person who took the flag photo on the top of the hill.
Robert Capa?
you know when people like the soldiers were.
Frank Kappa? Yeah.
I don't know. Is it Frank
I don't
Kappa?
remember. I'm very bad. I know
And
exactly the photo you're, you know.
The soldiers
Yeah, the
planting the flag, and then they took another photo after they
Yes.
planted the flag, and they posed for it.
And then that's the one
somebody
that
asked him like, "Is this was this a posed photograph?" And he said yes, but he was
he
referring
thought to the other
to
one.
the
Yeah.
other one that they
Oh
were
yeah,
posing.
there was a misunderstanding that lasted years.
Yeah, and to me, like, I don't care if you call both photos snapshots because they happen like this, you know. But one of them is in, you know, a historical moment,
Yeah.
and the other one is just a group of soldiers standing next to it, which is another historical moment. But one of them is portrayed
Yeah, it's different.
in the
Yeah.
terms of like fine art or you know,
Mhm.
beautiful composition. It could have been a painting, for example. It could have been somebody imagined it, and how can I make this photo the most beautiful representation ever of that moment? And they painted it that way.
Yeah.
They wouldn't paint like a bunch of people just, you know, posing.
Standing and sitting.
They might. Who knows? I completely derailed.
It's alright. We were talking about the snapshot. It's a touchy subject, so to speak.
It is, yeah.
But this is what I meant. Like her work, when you look at it, is like, yeah, you're out partying with your friends and you have your point and shoot ready, and then you take photos of what's happening around you. And the value is not so much as like how is it artistically, rather than it's like that's her life, and everyone around her are comfortable enough to be themselves and to carry on their lives with her there and her photographing them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is like, we all have the person in our group that is always taking photos as we're going out. And
I mean, especially if it's a taboo subject, if it's a secret society, if it's that kind of thing. I mean, you show up to a camera and people are always like, yeah, and they, you know,
exactly.
there's a circle of emptiness around you. If you're going into a party and, you know, people are doing shady stuff or whatever, like, you just show up with the camera. You can imagine it. Even in movies, I think this scene has been portrayed, you know. Show up with a camera, everybody's like, why is this person have a camera? Why are they taking photos of? And I've been asked, sometimes I'll be walking around taking my photos, and then I show up, like, I decide to stop at a bar and take a drink, and then I meet some people, and by the end of the night, I'm at a party with a camera. And everybody's like freaking out. Why does that guy has a camera? And I mean, I'm not necessarily using it. It's just, like,
It's
you know,
there,
it's
yeah.
on my shoulder, but it's still there. And I think that adds value to, I mean, the fact that Nan knew these people and like they were her friends, they were her, you know,
her circle.
yeah. I mean, she didn't necessarily had to infiltrate, let's say, as let's say the example I was given earlier of a war photographer or somebody who's like documenting in a drug cartel or something like that. Which you might say, yeah, well, she was just born into these circumstances. For example, she was just like found herself in these circumstances.
Well, yeah, she kind of chose that path in life, because another thing about Nan is that she wanted to be diametrically opposite of her parents and the life that she had when she was growing up in the suburbs. So she was very attracted by all these obscure parts of what life could be, and she actually has publicly said that she romanticized a lot these underground scenes and this underground life, and then with time she realized that no, this is not something that should be, you know, romanticized and seen as a glamorous thing, because these people are suffering a lot and there is a lot of pain and there is a lot of hardness in it, you know. But she felt attracted to approach this life because of the experiences that she lived through her childhood, you know. I think her sister had some sexuality identity problems and it was bullied around her, and that's what actually led her to commit suicide. So she was deeply ingrained in these like differences in the parts of society, and she didn't want to be part of what brought so much pain to her sister and to her life.
Diane, right?
No, that's Nan.
But Nan didn't kill herself.
No, the sister of
sister,
Nan. Yeah. So she suffered that throughout her childhood, and she's like, no, I wanna live my life completely opposite of what it's been bringing so much pain, you know. And then she went into meeting these people, these underground scenes, and that's how she that's the life path that she chose, in a sense.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, that's as in you know, I wasn't saying that she definitely had a choice.
Yeah.
And in a sense, I mean, by had a choice, I mean, she could have not taken any photos. She could have tried to, you know, like feel bad about her life and do something else, get out of this. But no, she definitely also actively was there, actively took the photos. When I'm looking at these photos, I feel like there was a lot of slide film being used. Like some of the
Yes.
photos from earlier seemed very blue in the color.
That's a very cool one.
Yeah. Again, I feel like as we were digging, there was a lot of photos that were like shared on other websites that weren't so impressive, but I did select the ones that I kind of wanted, like that I saw. I selected the best work that I could find. That's what I'm saying. You guys are quite quiet today in the chat.
Yeah,
What's
that's true.
happening?
What do you guys think about this kind of photography and the value of more documentary work in this regards? And also, if you like these photos or not, we like to know.
She did take a lot of
Self-portraits.
selfies.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like plays to the fact that she was. This is another self-portrait. The fact that she was just documenting her life, the
Yeah.
life that she, as you say, she chose. But still, it's just a photographic diary or journal.
Yeah, that's how her work is being described actually.
Yeah. And like we can look at somebody like in comparison Vivian Mayer, who also was just not making any photos for necessarily like
big projects or yeah.
But they had a completely different life, and that's how these photos look versus this person who had this life, and this is how these photos look.
This photo actually was taken in 2020.
Which one?
This one. The one that you're showing right now.
Oh yeah.
So it's a very recent work.
Yeah. And I feel like in that regard, because some of the photos I showed earlier were from 2001, some from the late 90s, some from 2014. What I can say is that her work, like she is very consistent in her style.
Yeah.
Like there's no way you can tell, like this photo is in 1976.
Yeah.
And this one is 2020. They both look, they could be any time.
Yeah.
She does, like, I mean, this could be yesterday. Who cares? I don't know. But yeah.
Slide.
This definitely looks like a slide. Well, we're just taking a moment here to browse some of the photos. This is in 1992. So if you're listening to this podcast, this is my weekly reminder that, sometimes it doesn't work so well when you do a photography podcast, if you can't see what the people are looking at. I mean, maybe for a photography podcast, you shouldn't be looking at things. You should just talk about it rather than look at it. Or maybe we can describe what we're looking. What do you think?
Well, now this is a mix of a little bit of street work, I would say, as well as landscape now that we're looking at lately. I mean, in these last photos that we're seeing.
Yeah. These ones are cool. As I was going through, and this is the photos that we saw of her work in the beginning were selected by Guggenheim and MoMA. So they were like curated already by somebody else, and I just chose the ones that I like or that I can show. Because there's a lot of NSFW. Is that how you say it?
Not safe for work.
Not safe for work. You know what I mean? So feel free to, if you are...
Explore it.
If you want to take a look, go look at them. These ones are from ArtNet. And here there was a lot of things. I mean, I'm happy ArtNet exists. You can find a lot of photos. Sometimes you can't find some other place. But a lot of times there is a lot of repetition, multiple posts.
A bit of like a soup of
yeah.
work.
And so this page was a bit messy, but I did my best not to have any duplicates or anything not safe. Just because we don't want the video to be like taken down or anything. We want you to be able to see it. This one, like you can tell that they're riding in a convertible and they saw this cool car. And she just, stood up and turned and took the photo.
Yes.
But I do like the vibe of the photos. And I have to say, I am a fan of Nan's work. I think also because it's, color.
Yeah. It's very... It's kind of attractive to look at.
yes, it feels like you're looking at snapshots from a movie, and but what I can say is color is more forgiving in terms of composition.
Because you have the color to
Yeah,
be a center point of the photo as well.
exactly.
Yeah,
It adds an
definitely.
element. So if your composition is meh, but you have cool colors in the scene,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of like helps the photo, lifts it up a little bit. And this is 1996, so I assume this is some kind of slide film.
It's Chrome print actually. Interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, the tones in the photo are quite nice. I don't see any heavy grain.
This photo is sold. It's sold or being sold for $14,000.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't look at
Yeah, it's
prices because
arbitrary.
it's just
Yes, yes.
doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But you see it in the. I mean, this one is a cool photo. I selected it previously because I thought kind of like, yeah, it's a nice moment in the party.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing this is a drag queen of some sort.
Lola Modeling 72.
I mean, but I feel like, yeah, I don't know why I'm keep explaining myself. Maybe when we started the podcast, I was hungry and then I ate, and I carried some of the hungry opinions with me towards. I don't feel the same strong opinions about the photos. Maybe because I already looked at them recently, and now
And also, you chose the things you like the most for
that's
what you
true.
saw. So just
That's
have
true.
that in mind.
Yeah, I'm just rambling because I don't like like dead air on the podcast.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, a lot of what we talked about Diane's work, it kind of carries on to her work and the value of it. She has done a lot of activism as well through her life, and I think her being open to everybody to see her life through her photographs is kind of part of her activism in a sense, bring awareness and try to normalize different lives.
Yeah. Look, and I mean, I already said, and I do love that about it, but like, I don't know. Sometimes some photos just makes me wonder why. What was I was gonna say? Like, as I was looking at these photos at ArtNet, it did feel to me, and I'm not saying this to be mean or anything, but it did feel to me like I'm going through someone's personal Instagram page.
Yeah, there's a lot of selfies. There is a lot of like party photos. There is like, yeah, that's.
And I'm not saying necessarily that that's a bad thing, but at the same time, kind of, I want, this is how I felt, and it feels like maybe I had strong opinions about the artistic value of these pictures, but I mean, I think if you're looking at this, do you agree? Do you disagree? Like, tell me what you think about this photo, for example. It's just so like I wanted to talk about, where was it? This one maybe. This one maybe, I don't know the story behind the photo. It's an out of focus selfie. The focus is on the cross and the pillow on the bed behind her. There's a cross on the wall and there's pillows. I can't really say what it says on the pillows.
It's a lodge, so maybe it's the logo of the lodge.
This one I can understand if there's like a message, with the cross. It's a religious figure, so these elements are powerful in an image, and that the focus is on the cross. She's out of focus. What she's trying to say here, I kind of get it. I understand, but this one I don't necessarily understand what's happening. And there was a photo. I don't know if I kept it. It was a very strong photo. I plan to keep it, but as you see, there's so many photos, so I might have closed it by mistake. And I'm not gonna just jump into the gallery blindly. I might pull it up later, where she took a selfie of her face after she has been like heavily abused.
Yeah.
As you can see the black eye, and that is a powerful photo. It's a very unfortunate, very terrible, horrible circumstance, but the photo of it is so like like heart-wrenching. Like if you see that, you can't, it's you get really upset. And if you're someone who like to be you might do something about it, if you see somebody who's abused like that in front of you. And a photograph of that situation is as powerful. So there's a lot of ways to look at Nan's work, and it's easily dismissible but I don't think it should be.
Yeah.
You know, and I was struggling today of how to be able to bring this in the best way possible.
And to give value in a sense. So.
You know, talk about this in the best way possible that I can do with being myself, and not, you know, I can be like, oh, and I, you know, I can just pretend that I don't know. I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody here, but I can, you know, present this way in a way that it's not me. But I think I'm happy so far in a way with how we approach the subject, and it's stressing me out. Hey, Cherie. Yeah. Did you see that? I don't know. She's probably watching from the beginning. I don't know if she's watching from the beginning or she is watching the...
I will just write. Hi.
Yeah. Yuno wrote something. It's quite remarkable to see someone explain this type of photography during times in which the subject matter... Explore this type of photography during times where the subject matter of his photos were often shunned upon. Yeah, you know, we were also talking about this. We think that this is what, I don't know if you made it for the Diane Arbus photos, but they also had the same type. We think that this is the most valuable aspect about these photos, rather than necessarily the compositions themselves.
Part, yeah.
And the reason why I explain this is because, you know, our viewers expect to see like
maybe other kind of photography.
There has been a certain trend of like fine art photographs, stuff like that, you know, but a lot of people might disagree also about some previous photographers. Like, you know, maybe like if you look at Rodchenko's work and you see nothing in it, if you're like a fan of Ansel Adams, for example, you'd be like, where...
And there's some people that don't like Ansel Adams' work when I think it's amazing, you know. Of course, in art there is variety and the opinions might vary, but I think it's interesting and important that we talk about what is the value of this, why am I gotten to be what it is today, you know.
I can tell you something. When I first heard about Nan a few years ago, I actually, like, the photos made me want to go, and I was, as I said, I was freaking out about street photography. It was everything I thought about, but when I saw Nan Goldin's photos, I wanted to go explore somewhere that is not photographed, you know, like I wanted to, because by that time, unfortunately, I didn't have any friends. It was my first couple of years in Sweden, and I didn't have so many friendships or, you know, social circles that I can, but it kind of like implanted this idea in my head that sometimes you have to take the photo when nobody else wants to take that photo, or when you're not supposed to take a photo. You know, that's the photo that kind of like you should take.
But it means something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, some of them. Here we have another selfie. Do you have any interesting... this one, sorry, I showed it again. As I said, they were all over the place on that on this gallery. But again, I'm not complaining. Thank you for posting these photos, ArtNet.
Yes. No, it's a good resource.
Yeah.
Definitely.
This one is pretty cool.
You did select very nice work, I have to say.
Are you looking at the full page?
No, I'm looking at...
no, this is something that we wanted to say and we forgot. This is one of the photos that... I don't know if you care about this or not. I necessarily don't care so much, but...
No, it's a tidbit of trivia.
It's a tidbit. Supreme, the brand, the hype brand, basically, that sells products that don't make any sense, but they're very expensive because they say Supreme, and that there's not many of them.
I think Supreme is like, I hope it's a joke to society in a sense. It's a parody of...
No, what is a parody is that album over there.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
That is a parody.
That's a parody of that, but I would hope that...
Do you wanna grab it?
Sure, I can go grab it.
Do you mind? I can go if you don't want.
It's okay. I can
go. Yeah. While she comes back, I'm just gonna keep telling you that. Do you like Supreme? Let me know in the comments below. But Supreme, for those of you who don't know, they basically make these products. They usually just say Supreme on them, and they're red, and they're super expensive. They usually make very limited quantities of them.
Yeah. Yashica just made 2 cameras for Supreme. So
Yeah. That's true.
Yashica, whatever is left from Yashica.
Yeah, the current Yashica, not the old stuff. And But I was gonna say that this is one of 3 photos, was it?
3, yes.
That they.
One it was of a self-portrait of her as a dominatrix. Another one is a portrait of a drag queen, I think. And the other one is this one we're seeing.
Yeah, Brian's saying in the chat that actually Supreme started as a parody company, and now it's just a money grab for them. Well, yeah, you guessed it right. It was a parody in the beginning.
Yeah, but I mean, now what it would set them apart is what do they use the money they're getting for?
Yeah,
that's what I could actually make a difference.
That's where that record you have
Yes.
over there comes in. This is one of my personal favorite artists, Steven Wilson, the Future Bite, and you can see that it's kind of like. Does it have? Can you pass it?
You want to open it?
I want to take the booklet. Is it booklet? What do you call the thing?
The I don't know, the out like cover.
This stuff that is inside. Because inside
I think it's the other one.
I grabbed the other thing.
Yeah.
No, it's in here.
Okay.
Yeah, but did we say so? This is one of the 3 images that were printed with collaboration with Supreme.
Yes.
On T-shirts, so you can buy this one on
T-shirts,
T-shirts.
sweatshirts, and other items. Yeah.
But inside, there's this thing. Now this is the album that we showed you. Inside of it, there's this thing, and they made these. I don't think they're real, but they made these products that kind of like.
Well, they did make some products, and they had them in the first video clip that they shot. They were actually there, and then they were auctioned out or given out as the
really.
Some of the products. Yeah.
This is a soda can. Let me read the description for you. TFB stands for the Future Bites. Air limited edition. Release date blah blah blah. Specially captured Antarctic. Antarctic. Can I read?
No.
Do you believe me when I say I can't read? Antarctic air, the purest in the world. Strictly limited to 100 doses. It's cost £500 and there's quantity of 1, I think. Or no, maybe this is like the card thingy.
So basically this album is a parody of what Supreme came to be, which
you
is this.
Probably know about Supreme brick. There's this brick as well. This one they priced it for £200, and there is a multivitamin supplement. That's how what's his name? Elton John. Because he's in the song. I think that's also like the idea that they got Elton John to read. He's in one of the songs and he just reads the product catalog basically.
The product catalog.
And this is a multivitamin supplement.
Actually, they wanted one of the things that it was included in it was cocaine, and then he refused to have that item in the list because of his history with drugs and stuff. So they took it away.
But yeah, and the cool thing about this album is that they did make one copy of it that is like the super deluxe. I don't know what they call it.
With a lot of stuff together.
So many stuff. Like it's just not stuff from the album. Like I think.
There were master tracks.
There were so many different stuff, DVDs and stuff like that.
The suitcase that is on the video of the personal shopper first video, all those items, they were all in the same package. He
even sent a award that Steven Wilson, he won an award for music production or something like that.
Yeah.
He sent him the award that he won.
Like the medal.
The actual medal, he sent it to him. And I think it was £10,000.
£10,000.
And then he took that money and gave it away to
an association that is to support the musicians through the pandemic or something like that, because they couldn't make any money. Yeah. So Supreme could actually use that crazy money that they're making in crazy products for something useful.
And maybe they are. We don't know so much about.
I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm saying that this is that could be a parody of what life is and consumerism.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think, there's so many photos here. I was supposed to be flicking through them as we talk. But I got distracted because I got super excited. Not excited. I guess excited about my opinions on snapshots. And
snapshots, yes.
But you can see, like, there's a thing.
It's very intimate photography in many cases.
Absolutely.
This kind of photography is just
it is
for those that really enjoy, looking into people's lives, this photography is basically built around that. It's like, what is her life and what she saw in front of her day in, day out, in a sense.
This one is a repetition, and this is the last one. Sorry. I wanted to say, I'm losing my voice. I wanted to look up something. When we first talked about the young Norwegian photographer who was using a spy cam, Miguel and Chris had some guesses.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna try to
see if that's the kind of camera he used.
Yeah. Chris mentioned something called Stern and Lion camera, most possible.
I did also want to try to find what kind of camera.
Stern and Lion camera.
CP Stern's best camera is what's called best camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Do they have
There's
photos?
No photo?
No, there's no.
Oh, here. I'll send you this link.
All right.
That's kind of funny.
We're getting the link.
Yes.
Eva found it, and she's sending it to me. Send it as a message.
Yeah, I will do that.
So you don't have the same mistake that I did last time. I already moved the screen, so I can open the messages safely without...
It looks super cool.
All right, there she is. Let me do this. Sorry for the silence.
It's coming.
We're gonna see it.
Yeah.
All right.
Detective camera. It's very cool. There's a very nice illustrations on it. So what? You'll see. There is a photo of the item there. Yes.
Oh, this is so cool.
Right?
This is so cool. I wonder how big it is, though.
You can see a person with it back there next to the
hands.
hands.
Yeah. So it looks like...
And then you pull the thing and then it changes into the next one so you can take another photo.
Do you know what it looks like?
Like...
you know these pouches you drink from? The leather ones, or they're made of animal skin.
The one that you put wine in it? And you do like... Look.
Yeah, you use wine or whatever liquid. Like
it
I don't know how cool or something like that. I forgot what they're called.
In Spanish it's una bota.
Yeah. So it looks like that. It's like a flask, basically. It's
like a flask.
A round flask.
But go down, like there, you can see detective camera.
This is so cool. Yeah, so Chris guessed it. That's the one they used. Nice. And this is the film. So it's basically a circular sheet that spins around and exposes these circles.
Yes.
That is so cool.
Conceal best camera.
And I was wondering about
Look at that,
about these corners in the photos that we were looking at. So this is the next photo, basically. I was wondering, why is there light leaking outside the image circle? I thought like that this is some kind of a frame to, like if you have a print, for example, but you put a frame inside. But apparently, I think this is the next photo. What are you doing?
Do you want me to tell you the truth?
Yeah.
Looking at a lens on Tradera.
Really?
Because it's 3 minutes to go, and I had to think if I wanted.
Let's see.
It's the 28mm for a Nikon.
I mean,
this is the problem of the being live. There are things that happen.
What do you guys think? Should we get this Nikon 28mm f2.8? Vote now. I mean, look, put 500 on it and see if you get it.
I don't know, because it says trog fokusering, which I think it means that it's a bit hard to focus. I think.
Yeah, then don't
pass,
get it.
Pass.
All right.
We're really looking for a Nikon 28mm 2.8 for our F3s. So if you know of any good listings, please let us know.
Nobody's gonna let you know.
Why not?
Plus, please put your phone away during the...
Yeah, that's true. I just got the notification from Tradera.
Don't look at it. I get all kind of notifications. But yeah, I think it's cool that we figured out this camera. We should have looked at it before.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize about that.
Thank you, Chris, for the good guess. You nailed it. I feel like you should win something.
Ta-da!
Hey, CM. Welcome. Even though you're late, you can still watch it. It's a unusual one today, kind of, but with a lot of strong opinions, a lot of rambling as well. Yeah. Anything else we wanted to cover this week?
No, I think the main message of the episode I think has transpired properly. I hope that the people that are listening and looking at the podcast, they understand why we're coming from and why we wanted to talk about this work and these two photographers and the value in their work as well.
Mm-hmm. Stiff focus, CM says. Get the ALS or AIS
The IS version.
version of the 28.
That's the most expensive one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's the one there are a couple of copies that are just like you can buy them if you want for like 150 euros, like right off, like no bidding. Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling you, I think this is the way to go.
Yeah.
Because if I'm gonna be exposing any 135 film, I'd rather get a
sharpest as possible.
sharp image.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we have point and shoots. We have the.
I really want the Nikon TI 28mm though, but yeah.
Me too. Me too. I want that too. Yeah, he has one of those.
Cool. Yeah, no, I really would like to explore the 28mm.
Me too.
length.
I've never shot like serious. I don't think I've owned any lens wider than a 50. 50 is
I like
my
35,
wide
yeah.
angle.
35 is mine.
I mean, it's my only angle, I guess. It's the one that I use most. Although I do use that.
the
I did use
65
the.
in the Mamiya, that's wide.
Yeah, but I don't use it.
No, not so much.
I never use it. I just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, why do you want this much photo in your photo? Your photo needs less photo.
Focus.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a good advice for beginners. Is that, and I think it's cool with the kit lenses usually that are zooms. I mean, I usually say I tell beginners, like if they ask me, that get a prime lens. But now I'm thinking maybe get a kit lens, but then like put it to one focal length and use it for a couple of days, and then change the focal lens, use it for a couple of days.
Yeah, you will have, of course, more for your back, but
that's how you choose your first prime lens.
What is it that you like most in which length?
Don't care so much about the aperture in the beginning. Just fix one of the available focal lengths
and explore
and
that.
See what you feel when you put. So when you see a thing you want to photograph, and then put it on your face and see, oh, that doesn't work, or oh, that's exactly what I imagined, and then work from there. Because they tell you that, oh, you can learn to use that lens. Like if you get a 35, for example, at first you're seeing something, but then you put it on your eye and it's something different. Like the frame is different than when you imagined. And then you get used to that. But I feel like if you're naturally fit a 50 rather than a 35, or an 85 rather than a whatever, why not go for that?
Yeah, that's what happened with me at the 35. I had a 50 and I was mostly just shooting with the 50, and every time I would see photos taken with the 35s, I'm like, I really like this. I like what I see, and I like the framing, and I like how far you are from the subject and all that. And then I got the 35 and I was like, yeah, this is my...
You can even use your phone camera to learn that. You don't have to have I changed my mind again. Don't get a kit lens.
Get your phone.
Yeah, use your phone. Figure out which zoom you prefer, and convert that to whatever aspect ratio you're working with.
A lot of math.
But less money.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
you already have it, yeah.
See, you should pay attention to math in school.
To calculate your focal length one day.
Oh, yeah. But, I think that's it for this week. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people showed up late today.
It's Good Friday, it's Easter break.
Oh, that's true.
So...
yeah. I mean, I'm not blaming you guys or anything. I'm just wondering, because we almost started, I think we started a little bit, like a few minutes late. Also because we wanted to wait for some people to join before we start. But I think... and I mean, if you're listening for the podcast and you always listen to it, I'm sorry. This doesn't concern you, but we love you and we hope you join us live as well.
I love when I open Anchor and I see one more play.
Yeah. Nice. So I'm thinking that we're still thinking about moving the podcast. A lot of you said Mondays are great. especially now that it's what do you call it? The
Summertime?
daylight hours.
Yeah.
Should we pull the time back? So we pulled it back, right? We didn't push it forward. We pulled it back.
No, where it was 4 p.m. now it's 3 p.m.
Yeah. So
No,
like,
the other way around. Where it was 4 p.m. now it's 5 p.m. That's why there's more light.
yeah. So we pulled it back.
I don't know if it's pulled back
So,
or going
like,
forward.
Like if it was before the change, now it's almost 8. It used to be almost
7.
7.
So it's pushed.
Uh,
You have to pay attention in math in school.
I definitely didn't, obviously. But here's what I was trying to say is maybe like, what do you think of maybe trying to push it 1 hour?
Mondays at 7, for example? Or we can keep
Yeah,
Fridays
7
at 7.
or 8. No, if we keep it at Friday,
On Friday, but put it on 7
but
or
make
8.
it later during the day.
I think I would also prefer that.
Do you think so?
I think so, because also, like, as the
But
days get
what
longer.
about the people who go out on Friday night?
That's true. Well, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't even... No, I'm from Spain, so you never go out before 10 p.m. But, of course, that's not the same in other places.
I think we need to think about this more. I don't know. Let us know, guys, in the comments.
This is always a struggle with everything, like at work as well. When we had to schedule when are we doing something, it's like... It's very difficult because it's never a perfect time for everybody. So
yeah, Goye says it's okay. That's my nickname for my aunt.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you mean it's okay, though. It's okay at the time being now. I don't know. Leave a comment. Let us know if you feel like you'd like it to be later, if you'd like it to be earlier or on a different day. What do you think about multiple episodes a week? She immediately freaked out. I can see the terror in your eyes.
If there are shorter episodes, perhaps.
All right, so see, I'm also saying 7 p.m. on Monday or Friday. Yeah, that's. I was thinking something along these lines.
They have the lockdown from 7. They cannot go out after 7.
Oh, in France.
In Spain, it's at 10, for example.
Yeah.
I think we should probably do 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Even if we leave it on Friday or we change it to Monday. I think 7 p.m. for the summertime would be better.
Right. All right. Well, either way, we're really glad and thankful that you guys join us. And we hope you liked today's episode. And we will see you next week, right?
Yes, we already have the topics chosen. It's going to be very interesting. Some technical stuff that is really, really cool. And also we will talk about some social things as well, actually. So, yeah.
Hope you have a great week. And see you next time.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.